demonstrations in the streets in Gaza City in the hours after Israel and Hamas announced an open-ended ceasefire.
This ceasefire may very well have a shot at working, and that's because it is open-ended. The previous ones have been 72 hours or 24 hours, and it means that more of the fundamental agreements may have been made.
A senior Egyptian government official announced that the ceasefire includes the following terms. Israel will ease the blockade on Gaza and open the border crossings for humanitarian and medical aid and extend the fishing limit off the coast to 6 miles. Both sides will also hold talks within the next month on Hamas's demand to build an airport and a seaport for Gaza. Hamas agrees to stop firing rockets from Gaza.
There are no missiles flying between the Gaza Strip and Israel as we speak. A tenuous peace holds, and the world holds its breath with the anticipation of hostilities anew. The task at hand now is rebuilding a Palestinian homeland that sits mostly in rubble thanks to the actions of their own leaders. The question then is simple. Have we reached a point of actual peace, or are we merely kidding ourselves? Welcome to MidPoint, Senior Research Fellow for Defense Programs at the Heritage Institute, Dakota Wood. And from the Potomac Institute for Policy Studies, Senior Fellow and Chair, Tawfik Hamid joins us. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
My pleasure.
I'm going to start us off quickly with a couple of things which I'll be able to read to the audience. You'll hear me here. First of all, a poll of Israelis published in the Haaretz newspaper shows that over half of the people did not believe Israel or Hamas came out the victor in this latest round of violence. 54% no clear-cut winner, 25% Israel, 16% Hamas won, 5% undecided. Let me back that up now with a press conference statement from Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday. I can say there's been a great military achievement here and a great diplomatic achievement for the state of Israel. Hamas was severely beaten, and it didn't get even one of the conditions it demanded for a ceasefire. The terrorist buildings were hit, the terrorist leaders were hit, and Hamas understood that this way is probably very costly. Dakota, I'm going to go to you first. How can anybody say that this was a victory? That seems to be what the Prime Minister here is achieving and is crowing about. A victory? Seriously?
Well, it depends on what your interests are. So if the interests were stopping the military threat to Israel, the firing of rockets, they were able to close 32 tunnels or so that now prohibits the suicide bombers from coming into Israel. So if it's a security win that Netanyahu was looking for, then they can claim victory. Hamas had about 10,000 rockets, used about half of them, almost a third were destroyed in the various strikes, have about 2,500 left from latest counts. So again, if the perspective is a security issue, then Israel can claim victory on that part.
Tawfik, from the perspective, your take.
It's absolute victory for Israel, I believe so, because they managed to destroy the tunnels, and the tunnels are very important for Hamas and its economy and its ability to threaten Israel and send suicide bombers. So I believe just by mere destruction of the tunnels, that's enough to say it is victory. And if you talked about number issues, the number of people who have been killed from both sides, you cannot put its civilians at risk, and which resulted in killing of 2,000 around 2,000 people. So we deal here with a situation where certainly Hamas has lost this. And that's why they came to the table, they came to Egypt. Initially, they refused Egypt as a partner in the negotiations. And at the end, they had to accept the Egyptian offer, which was offered to them from the beginning. Had they accepted this offer from the beginning, these people wouldn't have been killed. But in brief, I do see it as a victory for Israel because they managed to destroy the tunnels, which will prevent Hamas from a lot of attacks on Israel in the future using these tunnels.
However, Hamas is still in power, and there are still missiles that Hamas has, and of course they're going to get resupplied again. So this seems to be nothing more than a Pyrrhic victory at best. Tawfik, your response?
I do agree with you. The situation is, when you talk about peace, you can't have real peace with people who promote, like Hamas. I'm talking here about Hamas, who are promoting in their charter item number 7 or article number 7 that it is their responsibility to annihilate all Jews, to kill every Jew in the world. So when you have a peace agreement with such people, then we'll be deceiving ourselves. What happened exactly is like the deal between Chamberlain and Hitler. It was going to be failure because Hitler ideology is to destroy the others. The same here with Hamas clearly and shamelessly expressing their desire to annihilate every Jew. This is by itself makes the peace impossible with them until they change this article. And not only that, promote peaceful views and views for peaceful coexistence in their education, in their media, and stop these extreme anti-Semitic remarks that practically will make peace impossible in the area unless the Palestinians, especially Hamas, changed this article number 7 in the charter that calls for annihilation of every Jew.
Dakota, did Hamas perhaps exact just a little bit of victory here in the fact that world opinion seems to be going against and was going against Israel for quite some time there early on because of the deaths in the Gaza Strip? I have about 60 seconds left.
No, because world opinion's been against Israel almost since its founding. I mean, so Israel has really had to go it alone on this, and it can really only view victory in terms of reduction of the threat to the state of Israel and to Israeli citizens. So I think world opinion really wasn't a factor here. Netanyahu was trying to reduce the physical military threat. He's done that, and your other guest is spot on in terms of any kind of lasting peace is almost impossible to consider until Hamas changes its very foundational beliefs vis-a-vis Israel.
With about 30 seconds total I have left, I'll come to you first on this one, Dakota. Do we still have to consider the fact that it probably is very likely that we won't go another year without missiles being drawn and lobbed back and forth between these two again?
I agree. I think 6 months is probably, kind of too long to envision. It's a rabid group that seeks the destruction of Israel. They'll take this time to regroup and rearm, to try to rebuild their economy a bit. And then you'll see suicide attacks, and the Israelis will have to figure out what to do with that next time.
Tawfik, 10 seconds. Do you think we'll see this within 6 months again?
Yes, but I think it's a year, not 6 months, because Hamas also wants to use these attacks to raise funds for their organization. They got tens of millions of dollars just for this latest war situation. So it's in the interest of Hamas to continuously escalate the problem. Within a year, we'll see another attack on Israel from
We'll be
Hamas.
back here again, unfortunately. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again, and MidPoint will continue.